Yeah, it works on the screen. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Welcome to WarsawJS Meetup number 113. We are here live in an audience with a very enthusiastic and curious crowd at the headquarters of Paramount in Warsaw, Poland. We also are streaming live, so for our audiences who are joining via Facebook, we are streaming on our YouTube channel, which is, of course, WarsawJS on YouTube. And we're really happy to have you here with us this evening. It's going to be as informative and as useful and as exciting as you would expect it to be. I'm really thrilled. I'm obsessed with the number. So it's 113, and then we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 13, I'm just obsessed. It's a little bit of a Tesla thing. Threes and nines, they fascinate me, so I'm very thrilled to be here on this occasion. Question, is anyone here for the first time? 1, 2, 3. Welcome everyone to the newcomers today. And as you will see, we are an inclusive community, so your feedback and your input is always welcome. Before I go any further, I'd like to bring to the platform here our founder, Mr. Piotr Gentara. He has some information to share with you. Welcome, Piotr Gentara.
Thank you, Barry, for this kind invitation. It's our 113th WarsawJS, and the next month, because we are planning to do Confront.js, there will be a skip, right? So the next WarsawJS, so 114, will be in May. However, you're invited to participate in Confront.js as well. So I will use Mateusz, your computer, to show it. So Confront.js, confrontjs.pl. Sorry, is actually the 5th edition now. It's an international conference, and we managed to invite 12 speakers from Europe, actually from 9 countries, because not only from Europe, because Tejas actually is from Qatar, and not only. And these are our speakers. Chris Heyman, you can know him as one of the people who started a company named Mozilla, and now later Microsoft, and now we are developers. Tejas is known from first other Confront.js conferences. He's with us since 2018, and I think that he did something like 100 conferences in the meantime. And we also have other prominent speakers, many other prominent speakers on our list. And we even managed to publish the schedule of the event, so we have everything planned already. So yeah, and and what's really nice to see is that one of our one of the members of our WarsawJS community, who is with us since ever I remember, and was a coach also on our WarsawJS workshop, Andrzej Mikuliak, is also here today. Andrzej? Yeah. So I'm so happy that you're here, and also Mikhail Korolev is here. Yes, another speaker during a conference. So yes, so that's our lineup. There is a strong input from the WarsawJS community, and if you are on Slack hour today on our Slack, I will post on the general channel a discount, 20% for all members of WarsawJS community. And besides, today is a special day because some of the your answers, or no, your questions actually to speakers will be awarded with a Confront.js ticket for free. So so prepare your questions. We will ask the speaker which question was actually the most inviting for conversation, for thinking, for learning, and then you're going to be by the decision of the speaker awarded with the ticket. So yeah, that's everything from my side. Thank you very much, and have an amazing meetup. Thank you.
Wow. That is a more of a special announcement than I expected. Okay, free ticket for, let's say, the most thought-provoking and appropriate question today. So I hope, well, I'm sure you all have your thinking caps on. Let's get back to this. WarsawJS, this is our 113th meetup, and something about us. WarsawJS is a local community. Can you stop switching, please? Okay, first of all, we provide a safe space for those looking to improve their JavaScript skills. And this has to do with whatever your level, meaning if you're a novice, if you're just a person who's an enthusiast, or whether you're a senior, junior, or intern developer, this is the place for you. When we speak about a safe environment, we're talking about that we invite participation, and we absolutely are committed to a respectful environment. No abusive language, no discrimination against anyone because of their shoe size, et cetera, et cetera. All right, we agree that we treat each other with absolute respect under all circumstances. Who agrees? It looks like first time we got a unanimous agreement that that's how we're going to proceed. And it says, we meet each month to talk about our favorite programming language, which is JavaScript, and we focus on sharing experiences from different JS fields, from web browsers to servers, dev tools, mobiles, smart TVs, microcontrollers, etc. You know how it looks. We also, in addition to these meetups every month, have conferences, which you just heard about, the biggest one of the year. And if I were in your place, I wouldn't want to miss it. I've been privileged to be at a few of them. And even for myself, you know, just being, let's say, adjacent to your field, it was very, very informative. And also the networking opportunity is going to be unmatched here in Warsaw this year. We have blog space, so if you'd like to cooperate with us and create some articles on any current trends or emerging trends, we welcome you to participate and contact us. Radio IT, which is where I come in, is just getting its feet off the ground. Folks, look it up on YouTube, Radio IT. Our first episode was difficult and apparently not very interesting according to you guys. What we're saying is that what we're learning now is how to really appeal to you as an audience. So we're looking forward. Tune into us, Radio IT on WarsawJS, on YouTube, and give us a like, give us a look, and watch out for our second episode. We also have our Slack channel, which of course you can participate in the dialogue on a daily basis. We really would appreciate it. Once a year we have a hackathon, and you can see the rest of the information. Master classes, a few days of learning under the supervision of an experienced developer to achieve better skills, as if everyone's not good enough already. And of course our workshops, which happen every so often. Not apparently around every 3 months or so. Our mission, as I've stated earlier, is, I'm going to have to read this verbatim, folks. WarsawJS exists to support both professional and novice software developers within the IT community. We intend to accelerate the education process by sharing our knowledge and experience. Sharing our knowledge and experience. That's why I'm here. Although our community was established in Warsaw, we are now internationally renowned, and this is true. This is largely thanks to our global network of members and sponsors. WarsawJS is for everyone, all of you and everyone else. We are proud to be able to provide a safe, friendly, and welcoming environment for all, regardless of gender, sexual orientation, ability, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, or religion, or lack thereof. Let me think about that part, lack thereof. That's a rough question for me to answer. Our policies are clearly defined and readily available by complying with the Berlin Code of Conduct, which states everything that I've said already. We will not tolerate abusive language or any kind of harassment or aggression whatsoever, and we've all agreed already to follow that. We're open to all levels of IT understanding. Members who are new to the industry will have unlimited access to an extensive amount of practical experience and advice. This is all true. How many of you have been here more than 3 times? Is all of that true or not? Absolutely true. You're not going to find this. Oh, he likes to see you with your hands up. Do that again. Show me again, because he likes everyone with their hands up. This is Ahmad Pire. Give him a hand. He's our marketing director. Yes, give him a hand. Okay. I don't know why this photo. This is Barry Salone, our MC. Thank you very much. And as I mentioned before, Piotr Gentara, our founder. You can give us all a hand. Come on. Sasha Michałowska, head of operations. Ahmad Pire, who's over here, marketing director. Louisa Haas, we love you wherever you are. She's not here today. Maciek Machniewski, we love you, working on our social media. And we really are happy and proud to have them. We've been working together a few years now. And in addition, ooh, that was a switch. Let's try that again. What's happening? I only pushed it once, I promise. Before we get to, are we going forward or backward? What's happening here? 1 second, folks. I'll be right with you. Yeah, maybe you can do it this way. I just want to go back to the volunteers. I don't understand this clicker thing. All right. And just give a hand to our volunteers. Mehdi, Marina, Mateja, Grzegorz, Ilian, Lena, Dawudbek, Katarzyna, and Agnieszka. This stuff doesn't really happen easily, although we're very casual and relaxed. A lot of effort goes into organizing and making this happen once a month. We've got 9 years of experience in this, and it has always been, really? Okay, thank you very much. Today, as almost every time, we will have a contest. And this has to do with those of you who have come prepared or maybe unprepared to give a lightning talk. Lightning talk means a 5-minute presentation on any topic you choose, and or a concept you'd like to introduce to the group. If you're able to do that, you can win a 100%, I have to get this right, discount for a 1-year license, JetBrains license. So if you'd like to give a lightning talk, please contact myself or one of the organizers, and we'd be happy to hear what you have to say. I'm going to press this one time. And nothing. Let me try again. Okay. If it occurs to you that you'd like to do even more, and you'd like to actually give a talk, a proper talk, please scan this QR code, because you can present the topic to us and we can review it and decide if it's a first-time topic, something that we've never had presented here before. We'd be more than happy to invite you to present your talk in front of the WarsawJS audience. And that would be any time. Does everyone have this already? I want to give you time to scan the code, because I know there are some of you out there who are rather either latent or secretly ambitious talkers in the crowd. So we're looking forward to you participating right here where I'm standing. Now, a thunderous applause, please, while I'm talking. Let's go. Our sponsors today are Paramount, Monday.com, Campus AI, and XFang. And without them, the lights would not be on. So they're the people who make it possible. Paramount has been very, very, very generous in providing this comfortable environment, and also refreshments and things which make it very comfortable for us to network later on. In addition, we have our media partner, KMAG. Give them a hand as well. And so without any further ado, let's see, was there something I left out? Yes, one more thing I'd like to say. So my mission, and the reason I'm really here, is because I appreciate the idea that when you're in the position you're in, to deal with the tools which literally govern our lives more and more, that you're also willing and able to share information with each other. In other words, we don't have to spend, as a group, as a community, thousands and thousands of euros to get information which we could easily share between ourselves. I think that's a very, very noble cause. In addition, please teach a child. If you have any time to teach children to code, this is my mission, because without this education, which they are not getting today in our public schools, I can't imagine how they're going to navigate the world. And one more thing, this idea of mentorship. One last thing. I've heard a lot about mentorship since I started working near the let's say, software development community. Everyone needs it. So if you're in a position to be a mentor, mentorship means what? Providing some of your experience and skill and giving someone access to that and sharing your knowledge and information, check this out, for free, so that we all can elevate our ability to really develop smarter and more useful tools. That would be my request. We're missing that. Mentorship in general across all fields is one area which has just vanished from society. They've had it since Greek times and maybe even before. And suddenly, there's no mentorship. So let's keep that in mind. And without any further ado, our first speaker today, here we go with the name, is Mateusz Chrzonstowski. Mateusz Chrzonstowski. Did I do it? And thank you. And the title of his talk is Advent of Code, Sneak Peek. Please welcome Mateusz to the stage.
One, two, 1, 2. You should be able to hear me, I hope. And I should be able to share my screen and dismiss this notification. Let me also start my stopwatch, and here we go. So today, hello everyone. Today I want to share my experience with Advent of Code. So I called it Advent of Code Sneak Peek, as we've seen. And I need to confess that it was my first time I was trying this such popular competition in development world. But it wasn't first time I was hearing about it already. I've heard about Advent of Code, especially in around 2022. Didn't have enough motivation to start it back then, but I've heard that especially ChatGPT was able to solve some of the tickets back then. So that was around the premiere of this chat device. And I guess that was also the reason in this year's, actually 2023 year's FAQ at the webpage, they put it explicitly that you shouldn't use these AI tools to get into leaderboard. And what is this leaderboard about? This is actually the global competition. The faster you are developing the solution for the tasks this day, the higher you are in the leaderboard. So this leaderboard is something very catchy. And as I said, I was trying this first time. I was just getting into the rules. This leaderboard was one thing, but I quickly realized that there is no chance I will be there because each task is premiering at 6 a.m. each day, our time here in Warsaw. So I was like, okay, I won't be there, but okay, let's keep it calm. We, at Paramount, because I work here, 3 floors above, organized the internal competition. You know, we had our own leaderboard, so I was okay, that's fine. But then it appeared it's not as easy to get into this local leaderboard either. And this is the evidence. We also had our internal Slack. It was 9:42, and I was already frustrated that so many folks were already having their points for the particular day back then. Yeah, we are at Paramount office, so we can make laugh at Netflix. So this is how I imagine Netflix adapting this meme man. And here, as I said, this was first time I was trying. I was like, okay, let's keep it calm. I will start after hours. It was like 12 hours after this 6 a.m., so around 7 my time, p.m. And as you can see, because of that, I ended up at this day, from all the people around, all the developers, at 100,000 place. So not super efficient, I would say. And then I realized I need to do better. And what was also interesting back then was that for the second task, each day you were having one task to solve. You were doing it in a hacky way or not hacky way. Then there was a second part, which was modifying the things you need to do from the first time. for the first task, and usually it was like you need to totally rewrite your solution because it was not efficient. But it was like 90 minutes after I finished part 1, and still it was enough to get a better rank than for the part 1, which leads to the conclusion that some folks are starting but then skipping, you know. So I realized that might be my chance. I might not be the sharpest pencil in the pencil case. I might not wake up at 6 a.m., but I'm pretty durable in such things. I can do this all day, as classics say. So I decided that that will be my hidden superpower, that I will just keep rolling. And this is what I want to share with you, how it ended. So for other days, I was still not the fastest, but sometimes I tried. At least here was my, not here, somewhere here was my record. Before even starting work, I was able to finish first task, but then maybe not as efficient with the second part. Anyway, I was trying, I was doing, not perfect. As you can see, thousands of developers were before me in delivering the tickets. And let's start. What were the tasks day by day? What were the challenges? What were the things I learned from there? First, I started. It was like in browser page, you start, you get some data, like huge input, numbers, characters, and so on. So I was like, okay, let's open browser console and solve it. And it appeared to work for the first day. For the second day, it was also okay. I was able to solve in the browser using some regex. Usually when you use regex to solve something, to address some issue, you are having 2 issues now because of regex. But here it worked. I was fine with that. Third day was actually first time I needed to graph problem-solving skills. And yeah, this advent of code is very algorithmic. That's what you can expect for sure starting it. So yeah, but that was pretty hard. I started using my IDE to solve the tickets. This was third day from 25, you know. So in the fourth day, I was actually, yeah, it was too hard to solve just in a hacky way in the browser. I started using test-driven development just to, you know, start writing some assumptions. And usually it might lead you to different directions, to strange ways, but it worked for me. I was very surprised, to be honest, that it worked even for the first time. Then I realized on the Twitter that Uncle Bob Martin was encouraging this test-driven development approach from the day 1. So I lost like 3 days, and I got into the same conclusion. Actually, for that fourth day, I spent more time configuring my development environment for running tests. I was looking for very minimal setup to start just JavaScript, using ordinary import statements, and just run them in Jest. It's good we have the third talk about setting your environment up. Maybe I will learn. But finally, I got to this setup, and it worked. It was just Jest as the dependency. My tests were running. I could run them from the command line. I couldn't run them from the IntelliJ, but yeah, it was good enough for me. And there is another open question. What this test-driven development, apart from safety, let's say, apart from like probing your solution, if this test-driven development really leads to a good design of your software, because it's like driven by tests, is this good design or not? This is very good talk in this topic. I recommend you to check. But in my case, I would say it was pretty nice, because I ended up solving this solution to test it nicely. I ended up writing my own some sort of iterator, and I was just checking next if I still have next. And I would say the design of this solution, thanks to test for day 4, was pretty good. I was happy with that, at least. For day 5, here is where problem began. I started using map to solve some problems, and I got into out-of-memory errors because data was so big. Then I tried to brute force the solution, as you normally do, you know. It took 18 minutes, but I got the response, quickly sent them on the web page, and then started working on optimizations. here is the evidence I actually surrendered. So my browser history, day 5, solutions. I finally found the web page, which is about people from Advent of Code community sharing. And that was also a punch in my face, right in front of, I was struggling, I was suffering, how to solve it. And then, hey, here's my solution in Google Sheets. I was like, whoa. Then, go for it, language J. What is J? Since APL solutions are missing today, I have decided to add my one. So I was like, what is APL? I started to learn. APL is like array programming language, or actually it was called a programming language. But yeah, it's about array being a base structure, and this actually works. This solves the ticket. Yeah, there is J, as in JavaScript we have jQuery. So if we have J, we should have probably something else. And there was also language called JQ. I thought it's jQuery. It wasn't. It's yet another APL. Then something like that. I would say I know some of these letters. And then Google Sheets, how about MongoDB? Well, let's go, why not? And then, it's actually from a different day. But no, this is from day 5 actually. This is the solution. It's two-dimensional. Not only you have strange things, but also that. So, code reviewing this, I would write probably something as here. Just why? And I think I know why, because this is actually from the other day, language called Uyuya. People were happy. But, you see this? I found your solution very insightful. I was like, what? Reddit model, yeah, indeed. But, yeah, here he was just trolling some folks, so that was his motivation for using such language. But, yeah, the conversation goes on. It was actually some sort of smart solution he came up with. Oh, this is linked to the source, so images in the presentation are the source powered. And my stats, non-official, non-baked by numbers, just my observation. Top languages used for solving Advent of Code tasks in this Reddit posts were Python, Rust, and C#. JS, Kotlin, and Java at the same place, I would say. Most popular was Python, Rust was the second. In my eyes, like quickly skimming through this. Rust is known for us from Rafał Pocztarski, great community member of WarsawJS community. He was advertising Dino. Dino is written in Just, but he was also advertising Zik programming language. And BAN runtime environment is also powered by this by this Zik programming language. And I know this from the name, but forgot about this, and found in a couple of posts that Zik is used. And I was like, why? Why? What is this? And I found this talk from Rafał Pocztarski, and it became clear to me. There was also D language, pretty visible, those APL programming languages. If you are hipster enough, you can also use Vim keystrokes to solve some of the tickets. That was cool. Yeah, but actually, coming back to this day 5, how I solved it in the end, instead of running solution for 18 minutes, this is how algorithmic tasks can broaden your horizons. So you actually here, it was good to use the same technique you use for solving maze puzzles. You start from the solution actually and go for the starting point. Yeah, so starting from because the day 5 task was about finding the shortest way or something which is available in the input. Instead of running for all the input parameters one by one and seeing where they are ending up, you started from 1, then from 2, the very minimal result you could have, because the solution was to get the least possible result, and then finally from backward traversing to the starting point, you found in milliseconds time the answer. For day 8, this is also how those puzzles are done. So Advent of Code is about something is broken on Christmas. You need to solve Christmas by writing code. And it was, this year, snow was missing. And snow was missing because water was missing, because sand was missing, because lava was missing, and so on and so forth. So each day you had another another layer in that. And it's usually, as I said, first time you start day, there is one problem, then this problem evolves in the form that your solution is not valid anymore, usually. So here, for day 8, the problem and the introduction of this problem was like that. So she said that there are ghosts, and she vanished. So yeah, this is supposed to explain why she vanished, yeah? She told you about ghosts, so she is a ghost herself, right? The solution was that you get a map, and in this map you were having left and right nodes for each node, and in the first task you were supposed to go from A node to ZZZ node in the steps. And then it got complicated that, you know, if you were Ghost, you would probably just start as every node that ends with A, not with AAA, but every node at parallel. Sure, because that's what ghosts do. Everyone knows that. So here you actually needed to traverse a lot through all the loops, but you also needed to come up with some smart way of parallelizing this and finding the exact moment all the starting points are ending in the Z point. So here I also used test-driven. Since day 4 I was using it. So those were the instructions. You used to go right first, then left, and then it was looping, like right, left, and so on. And in JavaScript you can easily achieve this with generators. I was actually using those because you have endless loop, and you can iterate up until you get the proper solution. So I was using these generators. If you don't know this syntax, here it is for you. That was helping here. And apart from that, you needed to remind yourself. I actually came up with this idea myself without Reddit to use least common multiple. But in order to calculate least common multiple, you need to use the greatest common divisor. So I needed to Google a lot. By Google, I mean using DuckDuckGo, obviously. And then day 10, that was another graph problem. And to give you some taste how those problems are formulated, so those was a slight part of the input, and you needed to translate it in your brain to something like that. So what I found interesting here, because first time you needed to find a way, but then it appeared you not need to find a way, but you need to find trapped points. And that was tricky definition of what it is for point to be tracked. And in order to solve it efficiently, you actually needed to resize the graph. And the idea was that for each, for instance, J letter, I was multiplying it, let's say, by 3. So same form as we had, but thanks to that, you were able to solve the task which was about finding some animals squeezing between pipes. And when I make this graph bigger, this squeezing between pipes was easy to find with fluid fill algorithm. So that was interesting. And here's my solution, actually. And I can show you. Here I came up in very limited number of tickets. I came up with visualization. Here I actually did some visualization. So this was the input. From here, it was in my IDE colored like I shown. And here I can actually, I think I can actually even execute this code for you to ensure it works. It visualizes in a simplified form. And here we can visualize this scaling into triple the size. Live coding during the presentation. Keep fingers crossed. So here, how the same pattern from above looks after resizing. And here you can find how many points I trapped. So we see this one, those couple of other points. And the solution can be calculated by switching to enclosed points method and using console log, most reliable way. So it can count it to 10. I think that was the solution, but this is demo input. For the actual input, you had like pages of some sort of characters. You know. Here, to solve this, I actually used graph, and here is how you can write graph structure in JavaScript. In JavaScript, we have maps and sets since some time, But the tricky part is those are comparing elements with references. Yeah. So you need to, for instance, stringify elements in order to put them in map and then to read them. Because if you put object as a key and read the new instance of the same object, you will get lost. So you need this graph. You need a method for matching the actual point object, let's say, to some sort of its stringify form. And yeah, you create graph by splitting the input. Each line should be parsed. Here is the place I'm setting the point. So I actually in the map use the stringified point and point to its value. And you also need to come up with the adjacency, which is about what are the neighbors of this point. And I'm preparing a set, and then I'm connecting neighbors in the way for this particular graph they should be connected. So here's the algorithm. The full version is on my GitHub. You have some parts of these potential neighbors, of this from points to point. So I think there is a room to improve. I improved, I guess, in the day 23, where you had some more encapsulation and some methods hidden at the point itself. Let me speed up. For day 11, I needed to use priority queue. So any guesses for what should it be used? Connected also with graphs. That was actually the Dijkstra algorithm for path finding. And here is the comparison between Dijkstra and breadth first search. For the first day, you could use BFS. For the second task of this day, you needed actually a Dijkstra algorithm. So that was also refreshing. And the 11th day was also the breakthrough moment for me, because I finally, here we had Jenkins integration with our leaderboard for posting regularly on Slack. I actually got into top 5 for the first time. Day 12, I finally started using console timers instead of counting time of my own, so recommended highly. Here, day 13 was problematic because you needed to understand the sentences you were reading, and it was hard in that particular case. But what I learned is how to transpose the array in array. And what transpose mean here, we see that we have ABC now as a column, and we can transpose it back to. So that was pretty nice. I got till, as you say. Yeah. So today I learned. And on day 13, maybe that was accident, or maybe I was skipping this hammer, so everything looked as a nail to me, but I was also using the same method I learned the day before. And here the trick I used was a stack of results in the array, so array of stacks actually. For the 15th day, it was easy because maps in JavaScript are preserving the order of elements, so that was an important factor here. For day 16, the first task was hard. So I said, okay, I need to improve it before moving to part 2, because probably it won't be efficient. So I started this dynamic programming, which is about recursion with caching. But it appeared it was premature optimization, because I could just run my first solution, and it worked for the second as well. For 17 days, number 17, it was also easy. For 18, I just learned a lot about this from this Reddit and from Wikipedia. For day 19, it was also nice to use JavaScript, because I could actually eval some parts, because it was about kind of translating something into code. So in JavaScript, I did it by evaluating the expression. But crisis started there. I got sick in that day. So till the end of the official competition, our Paramount competition was kind of extended. So I was okay. But till the end, I just didn't do any progress. I had still a couple of days, but you know, Christmas time and so on, hard to follow. But I said to myself, after getting rest, after getting better, I need to come back. I need to finish what I started. So in day 20, I wrote solution inspired by how Redux works. The second part was hard. I got from YouTube, linked on this Reddit. Day 21 was actually misleading, but yeah, here is how some folks, it's not mine, I'm not as good. Some folks during the shower decided to visualize, and out of nowhere, when you analyze the input, you came up with some patterns which allows you to solve the ticket. So I didn't like, because you need a lot of input analysis in order to write efficient solution. Otherwise, you couldn't write an efficient one. For day 22, this is actually visualization someone else is doing. So This is 3D model of falling bricks, and someone wrote it in JavaScript, obviously, in browser, you know. So I was struggling with solutions. Sometimes I did some small visualization in console. In the meantime, people were doing like 3D model of inputs. Then for day 23, you needed to find the
1
longest.
minute.
Indeed. Longest path in the graph. I skipped the second part because I had enough of graphs already. For day 24, it was about writing some math equation. But for the second part of it, it was so hard that I mean, there was one person who was arguing that he solved this algebraically alone by doing fancy math. I couldn't do this, and otherwise I couldn't solve it without plugging additional library, and I just learned there is a library, but my assumption was to not use any library, so I skipped this as well. And for day 25, this is the algorithm I used, and there was no second star for me because in the previous days I didn't have those 2 stars neither. So here is how I ended. So as you can see, this is also interesting observation. I was doing it it was like 15th of January, and it was 13,000 rank, 10 times less folks, let's say, ended than finished, than started. Yeah, that's it. When it comes to overview, congratulations to all who participated. That was pretty entertaining for me, but exhausting as well. So I'm not sure if I will start the next year one. Here is the link to the slides. Here is the link to my GitHub repository with all the solutions. Here is my list to newsletter in Polish. So if you like, you can also join me. Each month I'm sending the one email with materials I learned, and that's it. This is the source to the image. So thank you for your attention.
Almost on time. Well, folks, every now and then, I get completely lost in a presentation. What I'm hoping is that your questions will help to clarify this concept for me. And please remember that the question which our speaker decides is the most, let's say, thought-provoking and intelligent will also win a free ticket to this year's Confront.js. Does anyone have a question? Dvudbek will bring you the microphone. 1 second.
Okay.
Is this one working? Which one, folks? Oh, this is it. Okay, here you go. There you go.
So first of all, congratulations, because as a fellow participant of last December's AOC, I realize how much time goes into it. Good job. Which of the problems that you solved were the most rewarding? Like, I can't remember most of the ones I solved, but there were a couple of the ones that were most challenging for me, and this one was the most memorable as well. So which one was the most memorable for you?
As I said, this day with less common multiple, which I came up to solve, which was actually day 8, sorry, I was showing. So that here it comes. That was nice because I came up. I reminded myself something from the high school. Barry, if you didn't follow, here is the explanation. So ghosts are doing that way, and you can know. So that was nice. This day 8, and the other day I liked this was this 23rd day, which I referenced in this here link. Let me quickly open it. Link is here. I like the solution I came up with at the code level. Yeah. So that was graph problem, but I encapsulated some methods at the point better than graph here I show.
Anyone else? Question? Right here in the front, please.
Would you recommend Advent of Code based on your personal experience for like junior programmer or even from early regular programmer as a way to improve your skills, or would you rather suggest doing some projects on yourself and building your portfolio? Because I mean it depends on person, but what's your thoughts? Your specifically?
That's a nice question. So, reward candidate, I would say. Um, I wouldn't recommend it, to be honest. Too many algorithms, and as I said, algorithms are already pretty well understood by all those machine learning models and stuff. So I would rather focus on my personal projects to get to know like full stack, how to develop solution, how to host it, how to actually provide it to the end user. Algorithms are, I would say, nowadays, first of all, I use them very rarely. So usually you use them before during the recruitment, the algorithmic related questions. It's good to know the way how you calculate, the complexity of the code piece, but you don't need as much as deep understanding of graphs, for instance. Maybe this is way I work and the projects I work on. I haven't implemented graph in my production code anywhere, so I would rather say it's not as urgent, and I'm having like 10-year career for now so far. Maybe this is my specific like path I had, lucky, but I would say first your own project. This is like an extra step. You can try those tasks from like first task each day. Yeah, you can try that. This is for like broadening your horizons, but I would rather recommend personally. That's my opinion. As you said, what's your opinion? That's my opinion to focus rather on the projects.
We have time for one more question in this category. Do we have a third? Oh, there's a person way in the back over there. Let's try to mix it up a little. Here we go.
Okay.
Let's try to remember that we have an online audience, so try to separate your words and speak as clearly as possible. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, thanks for presentation. It was really great. What do you think, which one is more important, to have ability to solve algorithms, like lead coding, advent of code, or to have a nice experience, like knowing nice hyped languages, programming languages, or frameworks, modern tools? Which one is more important? Well, I guess you have to choose only one. Like, let's say you are conducting interview. Yeah, you have two candidates. The first one is really a great geek guy, has great experience and knows how to use modern tools, frameworks, languages, but he sucks at live coding, algorithms. But the second one is really good at live coding, knows how to crack codings like patterns, everything, but does not have that much experience. But which one is more important for you?
For such a candidate, hypothetical, there are also many other factors, so I'm not able to commit to one or another, because you also need to look at soft skills, you also need to look at general way of thinking, maybe some market related background and so on. So it's hard to say. As I said, many companies are still using these algorithms. It's always good to know what happens under the hood, but maybe it's just enough to understand how maps work, and the way that the tree map is actually using the tree data structure is not as crucial, So you need some basis from algorithms, that's for sure. But what I already said before, I would really recommend to understand maybe not the newest trends, not the switching from one programming language to another, but the full stack, the full flow of the app, how to start developing it, how to put it somewhere on the server you can send a link to anyone, and he or she can actually use this app then, and you can see some metrics from how the person used your app, and that's the crucial thing, I would say, for the software developer.
And now, am I on? Are we on the air? Can you hear me? You can, of course. I'm wondering if the microphone is working. Okay. Here's the moment of truth. As we stated earlier, the speaker will decide which of those questions was the best question. I'm also going to request that the speaker tell us why the best question was the best question. And so, my question for you, sir, Mateusz, is which of those three questions was the best and why?
Each one was good. Thank you for all the questions. There were also other questions, so feel free to catch me later. but the second and third were cool, and actually the third was similar to the second, so I would rather start with second as the best one.
Is that your decision?
I would toss the coin, to be honest, but
We
my,
need.
my wallet is
You're
somewhere
you're
else.
the coin. You are the coin, sir.
Yeah. So let's put.
Ah. So we're tossing between the second and the third.
Second and third.
Hold on. Heads is.
This is head.
Heads
This
is number 2.
3 and 2.
Okay. Tails is 2, and heads is 3. Tails. Question number 2. Is that you?
Yes.
Congratulations. That was very diplomatic, by the way. Thank you so much. Was that a great talk or what? Did you understand? I had a lot of difficulty following you because I'm not a programmer. So for me, I was in the woods the entire time. After the third day, I was soup. All right, folks. Thank you very much. Please welcome and thank Mateusz one more time for his presentation. And moving on, our next presenter speaker is going to be Paolo Fragomeni. This is difficult. Paolo Fragomeni, yes? Changing languages, changing mindset, changing everything. Always thinking, always moving. And the topic of his talk is going to be going beyond the stratosphere because all the power has gone out. I know it's going to be going beyond. I'm not sure which thing we'll be going beyond at the moment. However, this is not your first time presenting with us. Is that correct? We've met before. We've met. That's right. You did a lightning talk. Oh, and we have a lightning talk coming up. Ibrahim, are you still here? Where are you?
Check.
He's still there. Yeah. After our last talk, we already have one lightning talk to look forward to. I don't know that last talk. I really seriously was completely and totally, and this almost never happens, completely unable to follow that presentation. How is it possible? Like, I really could not understand.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I think what happened was I started getting caught up in the days. Okay, day 1, I'm thinking it's going to be 7 days max. Once we got to the 8th day, I was thinking, oh no, it might be a little bit longer. It took me a while to catch on, and still, I'm going to probably ask some questions later on. All right, folks, please remember, if you need to see or would like to see some of the topics we've covered in previous meetups, all of that material is available on our YouTube channel. So you can go back through the library and archives and find some very still useful information on our YouTube channel at WarsawJS. So keep that in mind. I'm going to have to go back and look at this one again to see if I can catch it. I mean, it is important. I speak with developers on a daily basis, and I'd like to have some clue as to what is going on. My question currently is, if anyone can help me during the break, what is the means by which AI systems communicate with each other? I am very interested in finding the answer to that question, and it hasn't been very easy. By what means do AI systems communicate with each other? I need to know, and probably you do too. As far as I can tell so far, there's a difficulty because if you don't have a visualization or picture in your mind of how to describe something, it can be very difficult. So far, I haven't had much luck. Maybe someone already can just provide a very simple answer. Is he here? Yes, please. Yes, please. Please, if you would, that would be very, very helpful, and even invite him here to give a talk. It'll be very useful for us all. We're all in the process of educating ourselves, and I would like to remain abreast of any developments which take place, especially in the field of AI. Yeah. Say that again. Solution. Does that describe the mechanism, or is that just a solution, like a ready-made kind of prefabricated? Paolo, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Please welcome Paolo Fragomeni to the stage. What's the title of your talk again, sir?
Check. Okay, here we go.
Can you just repeat the title,
yes.
please?
Beyond the browser and the cloud. Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's very cool to be here. I'm new to Warsaw, and I'm sort of from New York, and I'm also sort of from California. But I've been in Berlin for a long time, and now I'm here, and there's lots of long and interesting stories that go with this. But I have a startup called Socket Supply. We are browser hackers. Lots of people on our team help build things like WebKit and Chrome and all sorts of, we belong to all kinds of groups. And we decided that the web needed to go beyond where it is. So we're working on something really special, and it's starting to come to fruition. So I'm very excited to be able to share this stuff with you. Hello, web developers. I believe you guys are all web developers. You all love JavaScript and the web stack. We want to take the web everywhere. That's what we want to do. The web is great. The browser's great, but there's a lot more that we can do. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is native apps. So native apps, if you want to build one, you need to learn iOS, or you need to learn Swift if you want to build an iOS app. And then if you want to reach a larger audience, well, you're going to have to learn either Kotlin or Java. And if you want to target Windows and Linux, you're going to have to get into some C++ probably, or some C# or some C. And this just can get really super complicated. The larger market you want to reach, the more languages you need, the more experts you need, the more expert you need to become, the more bugs you're going to have, and the more time you're going to spend. Is there like a robot? Okay, there's a robot mouse. Okay, so the solution to this problem of many languages that you need to learn, and the many different paradigms. Did I lose the mic? Hello? Oh, yeah. We can do that. Yeah. Check. Okay. So the solution to the problem of having all these different platforms to learn was this idea. Well, we'll build a cross-platform solution. One code base, and in theory, you should be able to run that anywhere, right? Unfortunately, oh sure, okay, because there's a robot mouse in this one. Check. Can everybody hear me? Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm just going to back up just a little bit here. So lots of languages, lots of paradigms to learn. This is compounding, right? So more languages, more experts, more bugs, more time, right? Okay, so there were some solutions to this. These are very early solutions. They've been around for quite a long time. In theory, with one of these, you can learn less, and you can write one code base and run it anywhere. But that's not really how it turned out. There was some good intentions here. React Native, React, obviously very popular framework, very cool. But it's incompatible with the rest of the web. And that's a big productivity killer because there's a lot of really good code out there that was written for the browser, and React Native doesn't have a DOM, right? So it takes the AST created by React and it turns it into native components. And with that, you lose basically the entire ecosystem of, well, the majority of the ecosystem of the web, right? Electron, one of the earliest, it bundles an entire copy of Chrome and Node.js. There's many reasons why These frameworks paved the way. They certainly indicated there's a demand for people to use the web stack to create native software, but they come at the expense of, they were early experiments, right? This code base is older than maybe some people in this audience. I won't get too much into that, but the really big downside to a lot of this is the productivity killer, right? Learning an entirely new language is a really tall ask from web developers, but it's also not just a new language that you end up learning, but entirely new paradigms. So this is these are kind of non-starters for the majority demographic of web developers. So that's why we started. We've built the Socket runtime. So Socket runtime is really made for web developers, right? HTML, CSS, JavaScript. This whole thing is based on web standards, right? This is made for you guys. This is a runtime for building native software for any of these platforms using all the web technology that you already know, right? It's browser technology. You already know how it works. You can use a lot of the code that you've already written, right? So if you have a React app, you can create a native application from it using Socket runtime. And you can deploy it to the iOS store, and you can get these really interesting extra features, like all the native qualities that React Native brings or that Flutter brings. Socket has all of these things. And the upside is that you get to leverage the world's largest ecosystem of software, but it's also fast. So the reason why React Native originally decided that, it's a good idea to take JavaScript because everybody loves it, and React, which is a great framework, and then turn that into native components because the web's not really that fast. But that's just not true anymore. The web is really fast. Browsers are really good, and the web is really fast because everything is GPU accelerated at this point. Just because we're a late mover, we've learned from a lot of the mistakes that a lot of these platforms have made, we're able to just build stuff factors faster. It's really simple, right? You can npm install it, or you can install it with curl. It's just a command line tool, and you run it, and it creates a few files, and then you can build the HTML file, and there's only a few files in it. There's a configuration file, right? And it's INI syntax, so it's like incredibly simple. Everybody knows how this works. You declare things in here, like the name of your application, the version, things like that, and you have an HTML file. This is it. Just this config file and this HTML file, right? Everybody's hopefully seen a content security policy. This is something that maybe not every web developer is familiar with, but this is really important because Socket makes apps really secure by leveraging this web standard. This sandboxes your application. So if some malicious code ends up getting into your JavaScript that wants to visit some crypto mining website or something like that, this will block that. This will never let third-party software talk to resources that it shouldn't be able to. So everybody should be familiar with a content security policy. What's different with Socket is that this content security policy also helps you granularly control what kinds of native APIs that your application is going to be able to talk to. So if you want to scope that to just a single directory on the computer, the user can give access to that single directory, and that's the only directory that this application could talk to. Could write to or read from. So that's it. That's all it is. This is what the JavaScript file looks like. That's it. That's how opinionated it is. This is what it could look like. So who's familiar with Node.js? Okay, like everybody. Okay, and that's why we did this, is because if you're familiar with Node.js, which is basically ubiquitous at this point, using Socket is entirely compatible. So if you build a mobile application and you want to read from or write to the file system, this gives you an API that you already know. And it's a little bit magical because you don't have to deal with, if anybody's familiar with Electron? Everybody built an Electron app? Okay, a few people. Okay, so with Electron, you need to make sure you do all of this kind of business with file reading and all that sort of stuff on this kind of back end. And you're not allowed to do that stuff, or you shouldn't do that stuff from the front end, because the front end is insecure. And in Electron it is. And so that's why they've separated it. It was really a decision about security. But with Socket, we've made it secure so that you're able to do these kinds of things. Right here's the DOM. Once it's loaded, you've read a file, you've populated the DOM. And you could be doing this on mobile or desktop, on an Xbox, on an iPad. These familiar APIs, they work everywhere. So we've implemented almost all of the Node.js APIs. What's under the hood is slightly different, but it's all compatible. And as I said, all of this is jailed. So CSPs, also build time entitlements that come from the INI file. This, including user consent, this all hardens the runtime. And this is super important because you guys building software that goes to a customer, there's a liability in having things not be secure. So if I download an Electron app and I'm like, oh, this is really cool, it maybe does some image conversions or something like that. But really what it's doing is like reading my documents and sending them to some foreign nation state or I don't know what. That can be a really big problem for you as the developer shipping software, right? So this new kind of approach to security here, really, it's super important because if we look at how Electron's working, right, what it's doing is it's packaging Chrome, it's packaging Node, and Node is doing these unmitigated syscalls to your computer. And who knows what's happening? You can't say for certain what's happening. Tori, the same kind of thing. It's sort of closer to how Socket works, but there's a binary. All of the Rust is all compiled, and it's making syscalls to the operating system, and we don't know what those are, right? And so what Socket's doing is it's saying, I'm taking your JavaScript files and put them in the runtime, but they're going to be completely jailed. So it's not able to talk to the operating system about anything other than what the user has consented to. And that's really super important for the developer shipping the software and the end user. And this whole kind of duality of, for those of you familiar with Electron, or even Tori or anything like that, where you have this back end and you have this front end, you end up with spaghetti IPC, all these calls, you're marshalling data back and forth, and it's annoying. But there is this case where you do want a back end, and Socket's able to do that too. So, we've implemented service workers. So we started with the VM module, we implemented that, and that was the basis for being able to implement web workers. And we've implemented service workers on top of web workers. So now we have all of the workers fully supported and normalized across all of the operating systems. So if you want to run a service worker on Xbox, or if you want to run a service worker on Android, this is it. This is how it works. It's like, from your index file, you do a fetch. You do a fetch to this URL. It looks like an API call, right? This is your API. It lives inside the app, and it's totally jailed. But you have a backend inside the application. This is a kind of a new way to do backends. Do them inside the app. Cool. So let's take a look at what this actually looks like. Can we? Maybe we can. I'm not familiar with this. How is this working? Maybe we might have to drag some windows around. Oh, I got it. Okay. So we need to drag some windows. So the best way to show you what some kind of new framework looks like is to show you an application that's been built with it. So, so this is a little application that I'm working on right now, and basically this is like CodePen for native apps. So So this is an editor, and the editor is actually Monaco editor. It's the same core editor that's in VS Code. So we just borrowed that. It's open source, and we built this little tree on the side, and we get some settings and stuff, and you get some of these preview windows, right? So this whole window here, you can see it's like got a custom title bar. You know, it's got one of these like drop downs in the center of it. Like the buttons are inset kind of. These are all features of Socket. You can build these really interesting, really nice customized sort of windows, right? Here's an example of that. Okay, so you know, I have a sandbox here, and I want to fool around with it, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to build an application with this. I'm going to have to. I can't figure out where my cursor is. Oh, shoot, I killed it. Okay, wait. This is a little tricky to figure out where my terminal is and where this thing is. Okay, that's that. Okay, here we go. Okay. This. Yeah. Okay. I would like these to be a little bit smaller so I can fit more of this on the screen. Okay. And we can type here and you can get, okay, I can't make it smaller, but maybe I can just sort of fudge it a little bit. Here we go. Okay. This guy. Okay. So anyways, but you get the idea. You can see that the content window of the application kind of gets updated in real time because I have these like windows that this application has launched. So this application launched these windows, and this one is able to communicate with these, and these are able to communicate with that one. They're able to be customized. They're able to do some pretty interesting things. In order for me to reload this file, it's being served over here by a service worker. The service worker is finding out things like what's the system's application theme, so it knows how to draw a dark, like this little notch on this iPhone preview, so it makes it the right color. There's all kinds of kind of interesting things that it's doing, and these are all features that you can control completely from JavaScript. These are all these native things, all these capabilities. They're all coming from JavaScript. So that's one part of this. So the other part of this is that I'm going to get into just a little bit is the novel features, the really interesting features about this runtime. So, creating APIs that are compatible with Node, and making windows and being able to build apps that go on your various different devices. That's cool, but there's something else that's really cool. I mean, this makes sense right now. This makes sense right now because there's all this really powerful hardware that's emerged. There's been hardware proliferation, and all of this hardware that we have right here is really powerful. But where this becomes really interesting is where we're able to optimize this runtime for doing, for example, high performance peer-to-peer networking. Peer-to-peer network kind of introduces this ability for people building games or building chat applications or building, whatever it is, to rely slightly less on the cloud. Take some of that work that you're doing in the cloud and offload that to these really powerful, really abundant devices, right? And the LLMs are kind of interesting right now, especially because they give us a little bit of a utility, which is like taking arbitrary, unstructured language and being able to do really interesting stuff with it. And so these are some examples of what the runtime now provides that we can ship really quickly and that browsers aren't really gonna have these kinds of things. You know, peer-to-peer basically helps us to reduce the amount of work that we have in the cloud. And this isn't really totally new. I mean, Microsoft has been, you know, using peer-to-peer now for a while. A lot of people here probably know peer-to-peer from things like, you know, music piracy and stuff like that. But, but you know, the peer-to-peer has like a very, very, very well-defined use cases like delivery optimization. So, you know, everybody going to the same update servers to get Windows updates. It's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to be really slow. It's going to be a bottleneck. And Microsoft identified this, and instead of spending hundreds of millions of dollars on updates, they offload that. So each Windows machine is able to update other Windows machines that it can connect to, and it can do that safely. So peer-to-peer is a really interesting technology. There's public sector use cases that it can go into. We do this really well. We have this kind of really interesting novel capability for this, which makes it possible to send messages to people even if they're offline, which is very cool. But what I'm gonna do with this is a workshop. This is obviously not enough time to get into the ins and outs of peer-to-peer and how to use it and how to actually build something with it, because you know there's a lot of complexity here. There's a lot of new concepts to learn. So we're going to be working with the organizers of WarsawJS to set up a peer-to-peer workshop where if you're interested in learning like real-time using JavaScript in Socket to build real-time games and real-time applications and stuff like that.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay, we're gonna have a workshop for this, and we're inviting everybody. So that's it.
Wow, I wasn't expecting you to be quite so concise there. Wow. Okay,
I had a timer.
folks. I've been told that the pizza has arrived, and we have here beer and refreshments waiting. So we're going to get right down to it. And any questions, please, for Paolo? Wudbeck, where are you? Pick person nearest to you first in the back there. Oh, there you go.
Okay. Hi, really interesting talk. What I'm most curious about is how does the rendering side of this work? I mean, the big problem with Electron obviously is the memory consumption and how big the payload is, because like you need to carry the entire Chrome runtime with you. How do you solve that sort of problem? I see that you're mentioning Tori. Is that somewhat similar, maybe?
Very similar, yeah. So Tori, Socket, there's actually a few solutions out there that leverage what's called the web view. So the web view is a native component in every contemporary operating system that is able to provide the core of the browser engine which does the rendering. So that's why Socket applications can be almost less than 1.5 megabytes. You can ship a 1.5 megabyte desktop app, whereas Electron is like 200 megabytes or something like that. So yeah, we're using WebView.
Okay, next question. Someone there in the back. Oh, there you are. Yeah.
Congratulations for your presentation. It's possible to deploy background service without user interaction with this technology?
Correct. Yes.
Oh, nice. I love this new technology.
Woo! Okay, and we have time for one more question. Let's go here to the center, because this person's front and center and probably has a really, really thoughtful, insightful question. Let's see.
I'm in panic now.
No pressure.
Okay, so thank you. Really interesting. What about some platform-dependent features and about using the hardware? Because it's when you write in the cross-platform code, it's like always a suffering. Do we need to write some hacks about platform-dependent code?
No. And I'll expand on that just a little bit. So we do support native extensions if you do need something that isn't provided. But the majority of use cases, and we've surveyed the space and we've looked at what the capabilities are of most of the popular platforms, and we provide all of those things. There's certainly cases where people are going to want native extensions. We have a stable C ABI for that. But being late to this kind of market of things, we've been able to see what are some of the things that are really pain points for people who have built things with Electron or React Native, and be able to say, hey, well, we can fix that. We can make that better. We can make it so that it's not hacking. You don't have to write these, branches of code that, go off and solve one problem for one platform and one problem for the other, because it's supposed to be write once, run anywhere, and that's what Socket's doing.
This idea, this concept of security, my whole concerns about AI, a lot of my concerns have to do with intellectual property and propriety and security and how they communicate. This is one of the reasons it's so important. Someone suggested API as the answer. I'm not so certain. We have time for one more question. There's your person.
Hi, thank you for the speech. I have a question about one of the hardest thing in the front-end developer. It's like state management. How do you handle a global state management in these apps? Do you use vanilla JS and try to imitate something like Redux or Pina in Vue? How do you do it?
Well, so something that I think is really important to reiterate is that Socket is a platform similar to a browser, and so and the rule is anything that works in the browser will work in Socket. And so I want to reiterate that any front-end code that you want will run in Socket. So if you have a state management solution or a front-end framework, some kind of whatever it is, it will run inside, and you can create these native applications using Socket with your favorite front-end JavaScript frameworks, whatever they are. And there's certainly, there's many of them, and it's really kind of up to you guys. I mean, it's up to the front end community to come up with the best things that do the best job of creating, these UIs. Yeah.
Front end community. I like the tag on that. Can we just say thank you first to Paolo again for a great talk and presentation. And now, no pressure. We had 4 questions, Paolo. And we need you to tell us which one of those questions was, in fact, the best, most insightful, thought-provoking, appropriate question, so that person will win, in fact, a free ticket to this year's Confront.js conference, and explain to us why the question was the best.
Okay. Well, so I like your question the best. And the reason why is because I think this is a question for all of us to be asking, is how do we do front end, and how do we do it so that it's good? And there's so many options right now. I think we're at a stage, we're at a point in time where there's so many things that we've been presented with in terms of different frameworks and different ways to do things, that it can be a little bit overwhelming. It can be almost like information overload, thinking about all the different ways there are to do things. I think the best way to do something is the way that you're comfortable with doing it. It's the best way to do it is the way that asking questions about it and being critical, applying some critical thinking to the problem, and then going out there and doing the thing that you like the best. Because a lot of people, they see, what now we kind of think of as thought leadership on social media platforms and stuff like that, and you really have to be critical and think for yourself about what works for you, not really what you're hearing about, why these big commercial, front-end platforms are the best by these really popular people on social media. Yeah, ask some questions about it. Be critical.
I'm hearing 2 things. I'm hearing there's still room for independent approaches to all of our work, and also still a need for us all to confer together as a community. Absolutely. And contribute to the building of these new tools. Totally. Thank you very much, folks. We're going to take a 30-minute break. And in the meantime, we have a beer and soda and other refreshments over here, and pizza in the back. See you when we get back. Thank you.
As you look into my eyes, I fall into the unknown, but nothing can go wrong, 'cause you make me feel calm and relaxed. Paso a pasito, muévete un poquito más. Yeah, you make me feel calm and relaxed. Paso a pasito, muévete un poquito más. As you look into my eyes, I fall into the unknown, but nothing can go wrong, 'cause you make me feel calm and relaxed. Paso a pasito, muévete un poquito más.
Okay, 5 minutes, everybody. 5 minutes. Wracamy. 5 minutes. Thank you. 5 minutes. Okay, while everyone is filing back into the room, let's make sure that our next speaker is set up. Is still setting up. And be prepared to listen to the next fascinating topic, I'm sure. You good? Oh, okay, I'll tell him. Przepraszam, czy możemy włączyć ten ekran, który jest po drugiej stronie? Tak. Dziękuję. Okay, okay. We ready? We ready, Witold?
Yeah, I think so. Need to test the microphone though. Yep. 1, 2, 3. Maybe a little closer.
Yeah, let's just wait 1 or 2 more minutes.
All right.
Hopefully we are still streaming. And I'd like to remind the audience that's watching online that if you have any comments or have any questions that you'd like to submit for any of our speakers, please don't hesitate to place your comments or questions in the comment section of our YouTube channel on this episode. And remember, all of these topics are available for your review at any time on the WarsawJS YouTube channel. We have a full library of topics and plenty of interesting and useful information that you will find there. We also have a Facebook page, of course, so check us out on Facebook as well. And also give us a like on LinkedIn and all the other social media platforms that you frequent. Having said that, it sounds like most of us are back. Please let's present and welcome to the podium Mr. Witold Sosnowski. What is the title of your talk again?
It's JS Developers Basics. So essentially,
Basics, JS. Yep. I'm here for it. Okay. Thank you.
All right. So hello, everyone. I'm Witold. I'm a developer like all of you. And today I will be presenting a short talk about basics of setup of the environment that you might want to have and you do not necessarily always have. So I have quite a lot of experience. I currently work at Monday.com, one of our sponsors, as a senior software engineer. And there I had quite a lot of opportunity to see different kinds of projects that were set up for JavaScript ecosystem, but not only. And essentially, this presentation is kind of summary of all the good practices that I found, and also all the bad practices of like fixes for all the bad practices that I encountered as well. So essentially, the most important premise of this talk is that I will not be very detailed in the configuration. I will not show you like very specific configuration values, more talk about general things that you should be using. I will be talking about specific tools, but it doesn't mean that you have to use those specific tools. And those are mostly the ones that I used personally or saw in the projects being set up, or I would want to use them, but didn't have the opportunity yet. So essentially, I use WebStorm for all my projects, but if you are using VS Code or any other editor, maybe some NeoVim funds here, those things can actually be replicated in other environments with more or less effort. So why is it important to talk about basics? Because this talk is actually like very, very low level, let's say. And I think that it's because it's really easy to forget about them. A lot of projects that I see kind of evolved from like a simple script or maybe a very simple service that was supposed to be sunset after, I don't know, half a month or something. And it wasn't. It's very easy to achieve a lot of like actual results with implementing very basic things that normally you would expect them to be there. It's never too late. And the best way to avoid basic mistakes, meaning that those are the guardrails that prevent you from having like a lot of issues in your code base. And essentially, that way you can prevent basic things happening to you. All right, so the very first thing that I would like you to start with is configuring your IDE. Or your editor or something that you have. And the way to do it, if you have a team, or even if you have like if you are a freelancer and have a single project, essentially what you need to do is to make sure that everyone is using the same IDE if possible. It's not always possible, but you should be doing that. And also making sure that all the settings that are like displayed back on the screen are actually shared between people. So how do you do that? For WebStorm and other JetBrains IDEs, I see a lot of projects actually adding .idea into their git ignore. Don't do that. Actually, what you should be doing is add some of those files to Git and ignore some of them. IDEA is actually doing this out of the box already. And for Visual Studio Code, you can just add the VS Code directory to Git. In that directory, you have two files. One is for the workspace configuration. The second one is for the plugins configuration. And that way, you will have the same settings for everyone in your team. Once they pull the project, they will have your settings. They will be using everything that you have. First tool that I'd like to talk about is drenv and nvm. Probably everyone used nvm at some point. And if not, I highly recommend it. But another tool that I would like you to use is drenv. Drenv is essentially a tool that gives you the ability to switch your node version or switch your environment variables, including path, for example, once you switch the directory. If you're switching the directory, node version is set, meaning that you have no weird surprises when you are switching between projects and one is in node 16 and the other is in node 20. You're trying to debug something for 30 minutes and it turns out that it is just wrong node version. Happened a lot, way more often than you would expect. Another solutions that you can have is actually putting your database connections into the configuration of the editor. JetBrains can do that. There are also plugins for VS Code. You can essentially have like a shared configuration to connect to staging environment, local environment databases. You don't have to send them over Slack or have like a repository with them or something. Create a Docker file. There are also very good tools to share the environments between different team members, but I won't describe them because they are pretty complex. Codespaces, Devenv, all of them actually solve the same issue. All right, so another thing, code navigation. If you want to have a very good experience in your IDE, define a project structure. Nobody does that. At least I didn't see a lot of people doing that. You can actually share that configuration with your team. Exclude known modules from search results. It will improve your life. Mark directories with tests. That way, you will see them when you're searching in your IDE. You will see that these are tests. They are not necessarily what you're looking for. Define file scopes for different projects. If you have multiple projects or have like a separate part of the code responsible for front-end, back-end, or maybe NPM packages, color them. Make them colorful. That way you will be able to see, especially if you have like business logic that is shared between projects and is using like all the same file names like account.ts, you will actually see which account is from the backend, which account is from the frontend. It will simplify your life quite a lot. And use the go-to usage definition instead of text search. It's much more convenient. I've seen a lot of people using just code search because, like just a regular text search because it's easier to do. But if you have good types, good documentation, you can actually use like navigation over the code. It's very easy and nice, I would say. And as I said, if you use TypeScript, it's much nicer. And about another thing that you can do, define the run and debug configurations for your environment in Git and make them shared between team members. Setting up your debug configuration, setting up ports and everything that you need to just run the code takes quite a lot of time, especially for new team members, especially for team members who are more junior to you. So that way you will be able to essentially just get going from the start without actually having a lot of steps to do the setup. Also set up some actions on save, such as code formatting, such as import optimization and auto fixing of the linter rules. SLint has a pretty good autofix, other linters as well. You can actually use them and they will make your life easier. You can see magic is happening on save. Quite a lot of things are jumping, so sometimes can be a little bit problematic, but in general, it's very, very useful. You should do that. AI tools. So GitHub Copilot went viral last year. So I think I've used it a lot. I don't know if everyone of you used it, but I highly recommend it. It's worth the money, totally. And I think it's going to change the way you work. It improves quite a lot of tasks of your day-to-day that you would spend a lot of time doing. Instead, you can just use the tool and spend your time on doing like a good architecture or anything else. All right. Another tool that I find very useful is lean-staged. Lean-staged essentially gives you the ability to apply commands only on the files that are changed in your commit. That way you can apply, for example, slint or prettier or any other tool only on the files that you changed, meaning it just runs faster, right? It also gives you a little bit of a more superpower because if you're introducing new tool to your stack, to your project, it actually gives you the ability to only apply it to the files that actually changed, like to the new files. So you don't have to rewrite your whole code base with the new standards. Just use them in the new files, use them in the files that you're changing, fix the things as you go and not in one big go. So automate those things using Git hooks. Git hooks will give you the ability to run lean-staged on commit or on push. And use Husky to make sure that every team member from your team actually has those Git hooks applied, and you will not get to know that something is not working on your CI once they merge to master or something. So code quality control, such as slint and prettier, are actually pretty important as well. They give you power to make sure that your code base is actually compliant with quite a lot of good practices in terms of structure of the code, but also in terms of formatting. No more discussions about whether we should use spaces or tabs or some other silly things. Those things can be defined in a configuration. Forget about those discussions, do them once, and then just apply everything to your code base and just do it. And also, you should run those tools in multiple places, not just on commit, for example, but also on push, also on your CI. Essentially, block the PR merge. If it's not compliant, it shouldn't be able to merge. Like, it shouldn't be a discussion where you see like failing check on the pipeline and say, yeah, but you know, this is pretty complex or something, or this is old code. No, just fix it. Or add it to a ignore rule on top of the file, but fix it so that it doesn't break for others. And also additional points for writing your own rules. This is quite important as well. Like, you need to make sure you're actually capable of writing them. I think a lot of you would be very surprised how easy it is to write your custom slint rule. You already have access to AST, essentially, meaning that you can compare just objects in the memory. Like, you can see, okay, I have like an if statement that is being that has an else, and we have a return in that else, but we don't have and we have a return outside of that else. So let's just fail the thing with some kind of message. Obviously, that one would be caught by IDE, but you get the point. All right, so also there is a tool that I would recommend, danger.js. It's pretty nice. This is specifically for writing your own rules. It gives you an API to AST once again. And it actually can write PR comments and block merges, which is very useful, because if you want to have some kind of message to the developer, you don't want to, for example, block the merge. But whatever they are doing, your team found that this can lead to some weird bugs, and you need to make sure that something actually works. You can just write a rule that will add a PR message to the PR, and they will be informed about the stuff that you have found before. You will not be needing to do this kind of code review again. And again, run those on git commit, git push, run it on pipeline, disable the PR merges. That way, it will all happen automatically. This is a very important part of this whole talk, like automate everything. Every single tool that you have, automate it, make sure that everyone has it, and that it's impossible to skip, or at least it's very hard to skip. That way, nobody will be trying to do that, and if they do, they will have like a good talk with their manager. And some ideas for good rules for danger. One of them actually we are using. So for example, if you updated your package.json but didn't update your package log, it's probably an issue with dependencies as long as you don't have some kind of other configuration there. So just, even if you don't block a PR like this, because maybe you have your configuration for jest in package.json, that's fine, I don't judge. But essentially, at least you will have a comment, hey, maybe verify that it's correct and that you didn't forget to just run yarn install and commit your package log. That way, you will prevent quite a lot of mistakes that way. Or maybe just, you know that some tables cannot be migrated automatically because they are too huge and will cause a downtime. This happens as well. So just prevent those kinds of migrations being committed into the repository and deployed into production. Code quality control, there is quite a lot of tools that do similar things to the ones that I described before, but they are written by like pretty big companies, and they provide you a lot more control over your code base. So essentially, these would be like SonarQube, CodeClimate, and Bold. I would say that one of the most important things that they give you out of the box is the metrics, meaning that you can actually see how your code base improves over time, which gives everyone quite a big like boost of morale when you see that the test coverage is rising, that every single thing that you are doing is actually improving things. Even if those are small things, you see that the improvement is happening and that you're not essentially having a rotting code base, but the one that is going into the correct direction. So some of other tools that I won't have time to actually present, but are worth mentioning. One of them is actually Git leaks. Git leaks prevents some secrets leaking from your repository. Again, pretty useful. You don't want to commit your AWS secret into your repository and find out that you have $200,000 to pay for them. Editor config is a small tool that gives you the ability to apply the very basic formatting configuration, but it's very widely used, which means that you can actually have the same code formatting, at least the basic one, like using tab spaces, maybe where what kind of line endings you want, but it will be supported by basically every single editor that I can think of, including NeoVim. Custom Git attributes, this gives you the ability to customize, for example, an output of your git diff command. Can be useful if you're using some kind of specific language or specific file where you would want to have the header of the diff different. Generally, security scanning tools such as Snyk for dependency scanning, making sure that all your dependencies are up to date, but also container scanning tools such as Spectral, where you have different kinds of checks and rules that check that your Docker file is up to date and has correct dependencies, and you don't use some kind of packages that are outdated. And another one is Emmet. I don't know if anyone used Emmet, but it's kind of not that important anymore since the time when the Copilot came, but I used it very extensively for generating larger parts of code where you had like very complex HTML structure or CSS structure that you wanted to generate. You just used a very simple language based on CSS selectors, and that gave you the ability to essentially generate like a whole web page using just some selectors. Very nice, I would highly recommend it. All right, so I did speed up a little bit, so we have a little bit more time, but I would gladly essentially talk about any tool from those that I mentioned a little bit longer if you're interested. So does anyone have any questions? Yep.
Whoa.
Yeah, I applied lightning talk to this. All right, there was a question in the back, I think.
1 2 1 2 1
Yep.
1 1 1 1. Please remember, think your question out in advance, and be sure that it is a question rather than a statement in the question in the form of a statement. Yeah, because we're giving away a free ticket to this year's Confront.js for the most thoughtful, insightful question. Go ahead.
I think there was someone
here.
Okay.
I was just curious what custom ESLint rules you implemented.
Okay, specifically for our team, I didn't implement a custom ESLint rule. I did install some plugins. Those plugins were actually for controlling imports in the project to make sure that, first of all, essentially we want to have our imports being absolute, using specific aliases for the path. So that means that we will be able, and what's even more cool about that is someone who wrote that plugin is actually wrote also autofix rule for this, that reads the paths. So on save, I actually can write like a relative path to the file, but I'm getting a full path to the file, including those path aliases, which is really nice, and it basically auto-fixes the code automatically, which is really good.
Thank you very much. Before the next question, how many of you intermediate and senior, let's say, developers found this information very useful? Haha, you see.
All right.
So this is basic and still very necessary. Next question. We never get to that side of the room.
Ross, thank you. So one question, can you describe some very interesting case about Copilot?
Interesting case about Copilot. All right, I actually have a very good story about this. It isn't mine personally. I watched a YouTube video of a guy called Andreas Kling. I don't know if some of you know him. He's essentially creating an operating system from scratch and writing his own, like, obviously not just him, but quite a large group of people. But he was implementing JIT for JavaScript, of all things. And Copilot was actually able to autocomplete code that was doing translation between entities from essentially like the language, like JavaScript, virtual machine opcodes into assembly. So he was essentially compiling into assembly the code that he had in his like virtual machine for JavaScript, and it was actually really good. Probably it was trained on some kind of Chrome source code or something, but it was like auto-completing very complex assembly code in a way that saved him, I think, at least 20 minutes. You do have to remember that he is one of the authors of Chrome. Like he was working on, not Chrome, WebKit specifically. So when the Copilot made a mistake, he was able to spot it quite quickly. I think that this is not something that we would be able to do. At least not all of us, but I think that it was very good use case. Like I was actually amazed how good it was. It never works for me like that. I don't know why. Maybe I have too simple projects, essentially.
Your projects are too simple. That's funny. How many of you are using Copilot? I'm just curious. Oh, seems like a almost vast majority. Okay, I think we have time for one more thoughtful. Hold on a second. Wait, you come to the front. Come on, to the front, right here. Yeah, this. Okay. First to the front and then to the back. We have time for two more. Let's do that.
Yeah, hello, and thank you for your presentation. Do you have somewhere like a checklist of all these instruments, tools, somewhere on GitHub, maybe on LinkedIn? It would be very useful.
Yeah, I will share this presentation essentially. It's actually shortened because it was part of like a 45-minute talk that I presented before. But I have the whole presentation, and I can actually create like a list of links to every tool so that they are clickable on the presentation. So. I guess.
Do you also have a full index of every available application and?
No, absolutely not. But of all the ones that I mentioned here, I think it's worth to essentially just check it. But even if I don't do the actually the URL for the browser for the presentation is pretty simple. So maybe some of you can actually just save it. It's developerbasics.pages.wusosnowski.pl, so it's hosted online. You can actually just open the presentation. There is also some commented out slides there, so you can browse through them in the source code as well.
Really clear presentation, by the way. We had one more question in the back.
Thanks.
Right here in the middle first, and then the back. We have time. He was very brief.
Hi, thank you very much for the presentation. I would have a question about the IDE. So you said that it's better to say like, okay, we are using only one.
Yep.
But what are your tips for the configuration if there is like a split in the team? Yeah, that some people want to use, let's say like WebStorm, the other ones VS Code. So what would be your hint to configure for the configuration?
Yeah, I mean, I would have basically two solutions to that. One would be either have like a happy path when you can't really spend enough time and resources to configure both, or as many as people have, and say, look, we have a happy path, and then essentially if anyone is using the thing in a different way, you're on your own, but promote actually committing their own configuration into the repository so that if they do it for themselves, or they also do it for the next person who joins and uses the same toolkit. That's one thing. Second point to that is that those checks and all the formatting and everything should happen on CI anyway. Meaning that if you have an action on save, or if you have some kind of linter rules, they should be verified on CI anyway. So even if someone is not using those IDE integrations, they can still they still cannot break the experience for everyone else on the team. And like the second solution would essentially be just create both our free configurations for all of them. But this might be a little bit too much for like a let's say commercial project where you have, this is why I recommend to have one, because it simplifies a lot of things. We are not using in a company only single one. Everyone has like completely free choice, which I respect and I actually like about us that. But still, if I were the one making the decisions for like my project, I would probably recommend everyone to use a single one.
I think that the I in IDE stands for integrated, right? So that implies that everyone is pretty much using this. Same tools, I guess. Someone in the background suggested the answer to your question is combat. Okay. All right. Last
that works as well, but can be a little bit like detrimental for the team capacity.
I just thought it was funny because of where we are. Okay.
Can you hear? Oops,
yep.
Sorry. Okay, so I've seen that most of the examples were from the IntelliJ or WebStorm, right?
Yep.
So you probably know this shortcut double shift.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I know. But not for a long time, but VS Code supports double keystrokes as shortcuts. So you could, if you want to substitute this luxury WebStorm provides, you can have that on VS Code as well. That's it.
Was that a question?
That was a follow-up comment.
Pani Witold.
Yep.
Of the questions that you heard, which question would you say was, let's say, the best question, and please tell us why?
All right, so I think the best question was essentially about using multiple IDEs, because it's a problem that happens quite a lot, that people want to use their own tools. I really don't like having like standards put on top of them. And I've seen it in person. Like I did the configuration for my team, but a lot of team members are using VS Code. And that's what I'm saying about like looking, not using the symbol navigation for some reason, I don't know. They're using like basic text search. Maybe that's because IntelliJ is a little bit better at symbol navigation, or maybe it's because I honestly don't know why. But essentially what I'm saying, sorry? Yeah, the company is paying for the IntelliJ, so. True, that's true. That's a good point, that's a very good point actually. So maybe, you know, I think who wants to give a lightning talk, because there is a yearly IntelliJ license to be won. Yeah.
So that was for your
yes,
best question. Was
definitely.
that your question, sir? In the front? That was your question, yes? Congratulations, that was great. Give her a big hand, please.
Woo!
And also, let's have another hand for Pani Witoldja. Give him a big hand. That was a really clear, and thank you also for being one of our sponsors. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate it, and you were fantastic with your presentation. Very clear, yes? And useful information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right now, we're about to switch to the lightning talk segment of our evening, and before that, we have put together a survey that I've been told is very important for our community members to fill out. I'm trying to find Mr. Gentara, who's going to flash the QR code on the screen. And we're going to take just 2 minutes for you to be able to access our survey, because what this means is that we will receive your feedback in terms of what you find interesting, what you want more of, and what types of suggestions you have for us as a community in terms of how we can serve the community in a much better way. So we're going to take literally a 2-minute pause and try to give you a moment to go into the survey. It's very, very brief. And to fill it out. Before leaving the premises today, it would be very, very helpful if you would do us a favor, and it would do us all a favor, actually, because it means that, I don't know, maybe we'll get better pizza. Maybe we'll get something that will even enhance our experience even more. Are you guys ready? Everybody get your cameras up? Phones up? Phones up? Okay. Here it comes. You need the clicker? There it is. And then we have right after that a lightning talk coming from a longtime community friend, Mr. Ibrahim. And he's going to speak on a topic that is very close to my heart. Something I mentioned earlier, which I think we should all be conscious of. So I'm looking forward to that one too. Survey, 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 survey. And I did say 2 minutes, so I really don't want to exaggerate here. We're going to make this as brief as possible. Ta-da! There's the QR code. Whoa, let me get out of the way. I felt the radiation from that. Yeah, take a look at you are not required, actually, sir. Of course, it's optional, so being a trusted member of the community, I don't see any reason why not. Yes, these questions, as let's say, ambiguous as they may seem, are really, really important. And they will inform us and help us to be able to serve this community in a much more effective way. We really thank you for taking the time to do this. Ibrahim, do you want to come and set up? Come on, because I think most of them already they captured the QR code. And we can move forward. If you've already filled in the survey, thank you very much. This is very important for all of us, really. And I can say this without any real embarrassment, that this next person who's going to deliver a lightning talk is one of the sharpest dressed community members every single time, never ceases to surprise me with the way he puts the clothing together. I admire your style also. Thank you. Are you ready? All right, let's give them 1 more minute to finish the survey, and then let's get you a microphone. Do we have a headset for Ibrahim? Or is he going to use the hand mic? Okay, you can use this mic. Just give them a minute, okay? So whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, guys.
Well, first of all, welcome Ibrahim to the stage.
Thank you. Hi, guys. It's good to be here. I'm here thanks to WarsawJS. You guys are doing a great job with great ideas, and we are implementing them. Actually, I recommend you, Barry, you were mentioning mentorship to mentor people who have so many great ideas which are still waiting to be implemented. WarsawJS can show you how to do that. So I'm here also thanks to my programming skills, which have changed my life. And I'm happy to share these skills. These skills, I will be sharing them soon, next week, with kids at the Innovation Campus, aka CIC in Warsaw. I have a question for you guys, but before I would like to share with you a definition, my definition of one quantity which is important to me. I call it return on effort. So by return on effort, I mean what is the impact in your life, your well-being, your happiness for a given amount of effort. From my perspective, there is no skill which has a higher return on effort than my programming skills. I would like you, please, guys, if you know another skill, I'm happy to learn it, and if one day I become proficient in that skill, I will be happy to share it as well. So yeah, I'm originally from Niger. I'm a Frenchman as well. And I'm grateful to my programming skills, which I learned in France. And in France, to become a programmer, you need to be, France has decided you need to be a mathematician. You need to study 2 years of maths, and then you decide actually to go to engineering school. So after your so-called matura here in Poland, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I only knew that I like maths. I say, okay, I will do maths. And then which engineering school I will see later. Thanks to my brother, he suggested me software engineering. And I listened to his suggestion, and I'm grateful for that, my bro. Thanks to such great suggestion, I'm here. And I'm enjoying being here and sharing my skills, my programming skills with the kids, because so I learned the hard way to become a programmer, and I will share my skills with them the soft way, and to have fun as well. Because these kids, they are the evidence that you don't need to be a mathematician to learn programming. And there is another clear evidence that you don't need to be a mathematician. You can become a self-made programmer. What do you think, Mr. Piotr Zientara? And you are the evidence of that. Still, according to the French system, you are not eligible to become a software engineer. And I enjoy my lifestyle here in Poland for the main reason is the pragmatism of, in my opinion, the Polish approach. Because there is no chance in France you will have become a software engineer. They will tell you, no way, because you didn't study computer science. And to me, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. I was mentioning return on effort. In my life, I try to do my best not to choose randomly, but to make statistically, most of the time, optimal decision for myself. So I think, if you open your doors, people can choose the wrong studies, but they have the right to fix it. And Poland is giving them, to their people, these rights. Bravo to you, Poland, and let's enjoy this flexibility. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. Okay, as you folks can see, and I tried to make this message earlier, I'm just going to read the bottom of this. My mission is to make sure kids are learning. Already, my hat is off to you. Enjoyable and useful skills, enjoyable and useful. What could be more useful than learning a programming language in these days for a happier life now and when they will become adults? Yes, this is the message I'm trying week after month to impress upon you. It's not enough for us to simply be competent and to have this knowledge and ability, and it's not even enough to share it with our own children. I have a question, though. Where are some forums where we can connect? How do you connect with a community that has kids and introduce or offer these types of mentoring services? How is it possible?
So, right now, there is a solution. The first QR code, if you scan it, you will access the one on the left. I think in Poland we read from left to right, right?
I'm just asking which is the first. I'm not really sure.
So yeah, this is what I think. So yeah, we share the same alphabets with French language. We read from left to right. Apart from you don't have the V. We have V. W is your V. So on the left, yeah, you can contact me and book a seat for your kid.
Thank you. That's very, very generous. Anyone have any other questions for Ibrahim? Questions? Questions for the speaker? I think your message was very clear. I really appreciate the part that said that, yes, if I were in France, I would need to do the mathematics and then the computer science. I've heard from many, many programmers here that they actually are self-taught, and you do have a lot of privilege here and a lot of leeway to make advances, and so I just call it paying it forward. So let's all pay it forward. Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate it. Thank you for your talk. Yes, pay it forward. Okay, I think we have Daniel coming next. You may recognize this gentleman. He's a regular community member, and this is my version of a brilliant mind, okay? It's just a person who, when you hear him speaking, he's speaking from experience only. You just feel the experience seeping out of him as he speaks. You'll see. You'll see. Don't take my word for it. Daniel, are you ready? I think you're going to need to use my mic. Is that okay? Take your time. Okay, welcome, Daniel. Janusz.
Thanks, Barry. Always. Does this work? Okay, cool. So, it asked me for something. Sorry, just to allow it. Lossy CSS compression. Normally, when we talk about CSS compression, lossy compression, we think about sorry, technical. Sorry. Let's close it. What is that? They say that macOS should just handle this kind of thing easily, shouldn't it? Okay, let's hope this works. So, lossy compression. We normally think of lossy compression as being capable of compressing images. Like you take some image and produce an output image that's smaller and kind of similar to what you pass in an input. And I've actually invented a way of doing the same thing with CSS. So given a CSS file, you can produce another CSS an output that kind of retains hopefully most of the information that is in the input file and is smaller. Just to clarify, this is not about minification, it's about actually rewriting the CSS rules on input. And let's see how to do it. So like first step is to take the input CSS, take all the selectors, separating them if they are separated into like the base selectors, and put them on the column of a 2D matrix, and take the CSS declarations, deduplicating them, and put them on the color, on the as the rows of the matrix. So we can like represent this CSS on as this 3x3 matrix. In real life, I've tried WarsawJS.com CSS. It's more like 8,000 by 8,000, slightly larger. That's quite typical for the size of CSS found in real life. But you can actually apply this technique to it. So once we have the binary matrix, what can we do with it? Decompose it. So linear algebra gives us tools to represent a matrix as a product of two matrices that taken together are smaller than the input matrix, because these R dimension is as small as you want it to be. And when you take the product of these matrices, you get back a matrix that is similar to the input one, in the sense of the difference having a small Frobenius norm. So you can probably get the hang of where it's going. Just if as a reminder for those who don't remember how to multiply matrices. So you like put them side by side, and you take for all the fields in the output matrix, you take the corresponding row from matrix A and column from matrix B, and put in the dot product of these two vectors at that point. So the problem with this is that when you do it with two binary matrices, you don't necessarily get a binary matrix back. And correspondingly, when you decompose a binary matrix, you don't necessarily get a two binary matrices back. You probably get some fractional numbers that are tricky to work this, in that you can't really produce any CSS back from them, or at least I'm not sure how, as long as 1 + 1 is 2. But what we can do is say 1 + 1 = 1 and operate in this algebra of Boolean, where there's just a 0 and 1, and 1 + 1 = 1, and you can treat this matrix that we've seen as actually a sum of two by two rectangles. And in this algebra, you still can apply the matrix product, and it has the nice property that a product of two binary matrices is still a binary matrix. And the flip side is that the normal linear algebra tools that are normally used like for the real matrices, like single value decomposition or non-negative matrix factorization, don't work here. Instead, what we can do is apply a problem called Boolean matrix factorization, which is known to be NP hard. So there are no practical algorithms that work fast. There are some heuristic algorithms, and it's actually an active area of research, so new algorithms keep popping up. And you can use one of these. So assuming we've decomposed our binary matrix, like how can we use this decomposition to construct CSS back from it? So we've decomposed a matrix of selectors by decorations into a matrix of selectors by something times a matrix of something by declaration. So what is something. When you think about it, the definition of matrix multiplication in the Boolean algebra is that you get 1 in the cell in the output if for any of the if for any k there's a row that contains 1 at the position of k and a corresponding column that contains 1 at the same position. And it's kind of the same as CSS, because in CSS a declaration matches an element specified by a selector if there is a rule that says this selector applies to this declaration applies to this selector. And so you can actually reconstruct the CSS from this decomposition. Use if you take the columns of B and rows of C and construct rules that say these selectors correspond to these declarations. So actually, every time you write CSS, you didn't know, but you're actually implicitly multiplying two binary matrices. And you can actually do it. I've written a proof of concept tool that does this kind of thing. It actually takes a lot of time to compose the WarsawJS CSS. I really wanted to show you how it looks, but I ran it yesterday and didn't complete by by the time I can hear. So instead, I'm gonna demo how it looks on my homepage, which has only 55 CSS rules. The thing about it is it's configurable, so you can say how many rules you want back. So you can see like it gradually resembles the input more and more when applied to it. And I think that's it. Thank you.
And the proof of concept, ladies and gentlemen, proszę państwo. What did I say? Was that a decent presentation for you? How much did you like it? We have a question there in the back, Woodbeck. Sir, in a moment, just a moment.
Can I speak? Oh. How does it compare with the zip compression in terms of compression ratio? Because zip uses more or less the same method, dictionary based, right?
And it's kind of orthogonal. What this is lossy compression. So
zip is lossless, right? Mm-hmm. But how your lossy compression, which in principle should be better, how does it compare with zip?
It is worse.
Worse.
But that's because it operates on a whole different level of abstraction, and so you can still apply zip to the output of this, and most of the time you will get an even smaller input that you would have gotten otherwise.
So since you represented the CSS as a matrix that has binary values, so what I thought was black and white, right? Can you make an image out of the CSS?
Absolutely,
like matrix?
you can.
You
can. I didn't plot it. Most of the time it will contain zeros. So the WarsawJS, I think I have the number here. This WarsawJS matrix has only 4,000 non-zeros in it. So it's like mostly white with a couple of black splashes, but still we can do it.
So could you then do the, for instance, vector compression on this image?
That's a super neat idea. I haven't tried it, but maybe.
That was the second question, though. Let's go over. We have one more. Please go ahead.
Hi, Daniel. Thanks for your presentation. I would like, please, to know where did you get the inspiration to
I don't know. I was just thinking about what could we do with matrix factorization, because like it's a super versatile tool. You can like apply it to data mining. In fact, it's used all the time in data mining. Like you can build abstract representation of of text are not unlike Word2Vec. In fact, this I think is older than Word2Vec. Although in that domain, it's applied to reals rather than binary matrices. In this particular case, I had this idea. I don't know how I got it, but I was just curious how it works.
Interesting. So is there another finding than CSS where you can enjoy this decomposition?
Yeah, like another idea that I have and haven't yet tried is trying to infer schema for this kind of databases where you, instead of like having a rigid schema like in SQL databases, you have these triplets that bind entities, attributes, and values. So in that kind of schema, you don't really have any like entity kinds predefined, but you could actually build a binary matrix of which which entities in a given database have which kinds of attributes, and try to use BMF to figure out what kinds of like quote-unquote entities do you have in the database. That's something that I think has practical implications for the thing I'm working on. So maybe I'll try it and tell you how it works next time.
We thank you, sir. As I said, I think I said brilliant mind. What I meant was a beautiful mind. Yes, just beautiful. What were you thinking? Like, what was your inspiration? Well, I was just wondering what you could do with. I love that presentation. Thank you so much. We have one more lightning talk this evening. That's Andre Mikus. Are you here? Would you mind coming forward, sir? Please welcome Mr. Mikus to the stage. Mikua. I don't have it in front of me. Why did I think your name is Miku? Mikulak. Andre? Andre. No. I need to know. I'm working on. Okay. Oh, laptop. We need laptop here, sir. I'm OCD about this pronunciation, so I'm going to try. I think we went through this last time. Okay, Andrei. Say again? No, what is it really, though? Andrei. Yes? Okay, and the nazwisko? And your last name? Mejkulak. Andrei Mejkulak. You know, folks, don't until you try it. This is with the not so simple. You ready, sir? I'm ready. Okay, welcome Andrei to the stage.
Thank you, everyone. We have 5 minutes, maybe less. This is Light Knock. It's not displaying. It was disconnected. Sorry, I'm nervous. Not yet. Oh, yeah, great. This lightning talk is first in the series of lightning talks about web APIs and the AP Genie, the tool I've been working on, and what I think will be beneficial for most of you and for me as well. We'll have 3 minutes today, so unfortunately no demo. You have to believe me today, at least. But if you're going to attend Conference.js, I will have another talk there, longer. So I advise you to come, and then you will learn much more. Okay. So the talk is better web API documentation with AP Genie. And I will start with a set truth that whereas the API documentation is important, but most developers are not excited about writing it. As Polish are saying, to jest prawda, nie zmyślam. So the question, can we do better? And now I know the answer, yes we can. I will try to show you and to convince you that we can. My name is Andrei Mikulak, and I've been working with the web APIs for more than 10 years in large and small companies. I know there are tools on the market that try to solve common problems with the APIs, with mostly RESTful APIs. Right? And I also know that there are no single tool that fully resolves and solves this problem. So after working with maybe 3-4 years, I decided to write such a tool. I called it APGenie. And when it comes to documentation, because today we are talking about documentation, I tackled 3 problems. Customizability of the documentation, usefulness for daily tasks for average developer, and easy localization. In detail, customization. Documentation is almost never comprises a whole site. It's a part. It's either embedded in a larger web portal, developer portal, or something embedded or added into the documentation. So either way, right? And almost always companies, larger, especially larger ones, want to adapt this generated documentation to their company standards and look and feel. No existing tools give you this out of the box. How APGenie does? It does it in the following way. It just separates the structure of the API data about it from the local feel. This is the common way how we do it. It uses Astro framework underneath just to build up on the reusable components, and it's open source template. So every company can use it and extend or modify, and it's very configurable. Usefulness. Many templates lack, for example, search. Many lack relationships between resources and endpoints in 2 ways, and many lack also a changelog, or they are done in a separate tool. APGenie solves all of it because it generates a search page, it generates a very detailed changelog, global and per endpoint, and it generates these components, reusable components with relationship between resources and endpoints. So you can mix and match all these just to get exactly what you want. And multi-language support. What if you need to, for example, target Asian markets and you need to translate site to Korean, and your translator team works very differently from your developers, and they do not understand any specification languages you use. For example, OpenAPI is API, RAML, right? I just made the documentation generator part of APGenie so that it can easily extract localizable texts from specification into formats which is consumed by translation software and translation teams. And then it accepts them back, also translated text. So instead of one language version, it can generate n language versions at once. So these were the 3 main pain points I faced during my development career, and which I wanted to solve. What now? Of course, we can do nothing. Probably nothing bad will happen, but also nothing good will happen, right? Or you can just try this tool. Here is the download link. In the best case, it already happened to me. Instead of, let's say, days to create to create API docs, it took maybe 6-10 minutes. I drank a cup of coffee in the time. As I said, today is unfortunately no demo. So if you want to learn more, if you have any questions, if you want to see a demo, contact me. Just contact me. I am open to practically to everything and everybody. And this is all. Thank you very much.
Thank you back. Well, you said that if we have any questions, we can contact you. And here, I guess, is the contact information.
This is linked to download, but at the same site there is a whole page
where we can find contact. Thank you so much. That's exactly what we're going to do. once more, please thank you, Andriy, for this fantastic presentation. And before we go on, thank you again. Before we go on to our next talk, only because I'm sort of crunching the time here, I'd like to remind everyone to try to stay put because we're going to be taking a group picture before you leave. I'd also like to immediately applaud our sponsors for today, Paramount, Campus AI, XFang, and Monday.com for making it possible for us to be here in this space so comfortably. Having said that, we have one more surprise speaker for today, a lightning talk by our home gnome and also founder and also mad scientist and also mad hatter, Mr. Piotr Chintara. Are you ready, sir? Yes. Welcome Piotr Chintara to the stage.
Thank you very much, Barry. I just want to put something on the background so that it works and looks better. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so listen. I want to show you something strange. Something inspiring. Something that works. Something that is amazing and stunning, and about language, and about communication, and about symbols, patterns, and pattern recognition, something fascinating, and only in 2 or 3 minutes I hope I will deliver now. Okay, so I was studying Chinese. And my Chinese teacher told me, listen, Piotr, I'm very surprised that in Polish language you have such a small resolution. And I said, what do you mean small resolution? And she said, so how do you call your older brother? And I say, brother, or older brother. And how do you call your younger brother? And I said, younger brother. And she said, oh, listen, so in Chinese we have a special word for older brother, that's ge, and for younger brother, that's di. And Didi is different from Koga, and you don't say something like, oh, older or younger, so you have a better language resolution. I thought, oh my gosh, really? Yeah, really. And she said, and listen, and you, for example, when you show numbers on your hand, and you count to 10, so you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that's little resolution, because in Chinese, for example, we can show 8, and because of that, we can show 88, for example. So this is a much better resolution even in science. And I said, listen, Wenyo, I will tell you something very interesting because we programmers, JavaScript programmers, have even better resolution. And she said, what? Yeah, so listen. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6, this is 7, this is 8, this is 9, this is 10, this is 11, this is 12, this is 13, this is 14. Okay, who tells me? Tell me what number I show you now. This person gets a ticket for Confront.js. Yeah, congratulations! So our resolution is 123, and this concludes my talk. Thank you very much.
Come back here for a moment, sir. Would you mind joining me here for a moment? That was good, right? The guy's a born entertainer. And he couldn't help himself. That was really, really fantastic. Before you leave, we'd like you to remind us about Confront.js and when it's going to be and where it's going to be and where we have to be and what time we have to be there. And we really want some more information about that because that's coming soon, folks, on April 8th. That is next month. So there is still time to get your tickets if you haven't won them already this evening. Still time to get tickets and to be present for one of the most international, really valuable networking and technical experiences, knowledge-sharing experiences of the year. So I just want to let you say a few more words about that. But before we do, once more, please thank you, Paramount. Thank you very much. And thank you, Monday.com. And thank you, XFang and Campus AI for having us here this evening. Here you are, sir. And to all of our speakers and volunteers. Let's not forget about the speakers. And to all of you, of course. Almost forgot.
Thank you, Barry, for reminding me that Confront.js is very soon. So what can I say more? Well, the tickets are still available, and I've sent you a discount code, 20% on our Slack channel on general. Have I? Or I forgot. Okay, thank you. So you can go here, you can press buy, you can insert here the code, and it will give you 20%. And besides, we have besides the agenda that is here, there is an after party here. Yeah, after that. So this is Friday. We know that best conferences are on Fridays. It's much better. Not sure yet. We probably will go to Hard Rock Cafe at the same street because it's Emily Platter 53, and it's very close. And yeah, it's city center, so hopefully you will like. Yeah. Yes. All right. So yeah.
Photographs, yes?
All together? Can we go? Can we have it?
Please.
Come here. Sure. Yeah.
We have to move to this side of the room. Enlist a photographer. Excuse me. Hello? Why? You're supposed to be there. Let's get someone from... Can you help us to take a photo, please? Oh, wait. Are you working at Paramount? No, then you have to be in the photo. No, you go there. Excuse me, can someone from Paramount help us to take this photo? We would really appreciate it because we need all of us to be in the front. Okay, thank you so much. Everybody ready? Let's see. I guess what we need to do is like the hand signal, 123. Okay, so everybody hands up. Let's go. Ready? Tell us when. Ready? Hands up, everybody. Come on, give them a sign. How many is this? What's the number? Tell us when. Yush? Yesharas Mojeme? Okay, any finger configuration you want to do, just switch it up. Yeah, yes, any. We got it? Yes? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you at Conference.js. Thank you, folks. Prazer.